Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters, one of the civic partners for this show. My guests today are Martha Weaver and Kathleen Stein, who are here to talk to us about No King's Day 3, the protest up here in the North Country on March 28th. Actually, the protest across the entire country on March 28th. Martha is with the Malone event. Kathy is with the Canton event. Welcome back to North Country Matters. I'm glad to have you both on the show to talk about No Kings 3 and the several of the upcoming events here in the North Country. So,
Thanks for
no,
having us, Don.
well, we're
Yes, thank you.
very welcome both of you. No Kings 2 last October was America's pro-democracy movement's biggest mass demonstration yet against the Trump administration's escalating abuse of power. Popular resistance to President Trump's second term continues to snowball. No Kings 3 will be even bigger as the stakes could not be higher. Martha, last time you talked about what motivated you to get involved to organize in Malone. How have the events in recent months um, energized your commitment to stand up for the rights of everyone in these challenging times?
Okay, so there's a very long list of ways that the Trump regime is harming families and weakening the U.S. position in the world. But underlying it, there are several really core issues that drive everything else, or at least allow them to happen. So um, the normalization of political violence in the United States is probably one of the most scary things. When we see federal agents kitted out like Army Rangers in the streets of American cities, something fundamental has shifted, not just in policy, but in what kind of country we're living in. And when American citizens are killed for exercising their constitutional rights, we can't pretend that we don't know what's happening. Right now, the Trump administration is terrorizing our immigrant community with brutal deportation campaigns designed to test the limits of executive power. But if we look at history, once mass deportations start, once the infrastructure for that kind of repression is in place, it doesn't just stay with the first people that are targeted. So I think that a critical thing is to stop this as much as we can now. It's going to be a lot harder down the line. The second thing that I think is really a major driving issue is corruption. Not that our government hasn't had problems with that in the past, but one of the reasons people elected Trump was that he promised to drain the swamp in Washington. So I think people saw that he was going to get rid of special interest corporations and lobbyists. Instead, the first thing he did was fire 17 watchdogs. And since then, he's fired probably 4 more. Those were the people that were charged with investigating fraud, corruption, and conflict of interest. And they were doing an important job. Those positions have not been fully filled since the people were removed. And many of them now are run by just acting officials. These are people that should be approved by the Senate, and that has not happened. This month, ProPublica, which is a nonprofit, released a searchable database of more than 1,500 Trump appointees that reveals a web of financial ties between Trump's regime officials and the industries that they help regulate. Former lobbyists and corporate executives occupy influential regulatory positions across the administration. The Center for American Progress has found that the Trump family itself has made over $2 billion in cash and gifts since Trump was elected to his second term. So one of the reasons that I'm helping organize the Malone No Kings is actually we have to do something. And I want to help spread the message that our country doesn't belong to strongmen, greedy billionaires, or through fear and violence. It belongs to us, the people.
You have said that so very well. You know, I've been doing a lot of reading lately about the run-up to World War II in Europe, and so many of the things that were in the Nazi playbook as they began to take over Europe, we are watching play out here in America all over again. And it's frightening, and it's something that it's happened before, and we can stop it. So thank you for that work that you're doing. Kathy, one of the strengths of these protests have been how many different organizations have come together to organize. There's literally dozens and dozens of them. The League of Women Voters nationally is one of them. The State League is one of them, and the local St. Lawrence County League is one of them. So, talk to us about the reasons why the League is concerned about the lawlessness and anti-democratic actions of the Trump administration, and why the League is so involved in the No Kings movement.
Yes, thank you, Donna and Martha. Say on, sister. Um, the League has always been all about constitutional government. After all, the League was founded by suffragists who had been fighting 70 years for the passage of a constitutional amendment guaranteeing women the right to vote. And many of the same women who had fought for those same women had fought for the abolition of slavery by constitutional amendment, and their descendants continue to fight for the rights of all U.S. citizens to exercise their right to vote, currently by opposing the hideously misnamed Save America Act. In April of last year, the League declared that the U.S. was in a constitutional crisis. The statement that LWVUS issued at that time cited increased attacks on our democratic systems and a failure by Congress to intervene, culminating when the president defied a Supreme Court order to return wrongfully deported Marylander Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This was followed by the Trump administration's violation of an order by a U.S. District Court judge to immediately pause deportations that were being undertaken under the Alien Enemies Act. In the League's opinion, these actions triggered a constitutional crisis because the executive branch's blatant disregard for an order by the judicial branch constitutes an attack on our democratic system. The League has also always been about fostering an informed and actively engaged electorate, something regarded as essential for democratic forms of government literally since ancient Athens. I find it an interesting coincidence that when Ben Franklin left the constitutional crisis in Philadelphia, it was a woman waiting outside who asked him, "So, what kind of government have you given us, Mr. Franklin?" He famously replied, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." And he didn't say, "If your husband can keep it." He said, "Ma'am, if you can keep it." Everybody has to work on keeping a republic. The League and Indivisible are organizations dedicated to the same fundamental values at a time when we are in real danger of losing our republic of the people, by the people, and for the people, as Lincoln put it. All Americans need to come together to defend it. Both Indivisible and the League believe that increased civic engagement, joined with peaceful protest, is the best way to defend our republic.
Well, you two ladies have given us a call to action. So let's talk about what that action is here in the North Country. Martha, one of the strengths of these protests is how widespread they are all across the country in rural, suburban, and urban communities. Tell us how the No Kings rallies have played out here in the North Country. We're seeing some different communities step up for No Kings 3, aren't we?
Yes, and actually, I want to say that nationally, each event has had more people. This one is going to have 3,000 to 4,000 events across the United States. So, and we are seeing more here in the North Country. I do want to say that each No Kings event has its own set of sponsors and partners, and it has its own format as to how it's going to be held. So what I recommend to people is that they go to the map on the No Kings website and sign up for whichever event is closest to them, and then the organizers can send them more information and they'll know what to do. And check that event map occasionally, because the Malone event was posted really early, and I've had at least one person that signed up send me an email and say, well, there's now one happening near her where she lives, so she's going to go to that one instead. So as an example of what's happening here in Watertown, Lake Effects Progress of Northern New York is the organizer. They've been sponsoring protests and rallies in Watertown since February of last year. In Plattsburg, there are a number of co-sponsors for the event. And one of the things they're going to do is do a little tailgate before the event in the parking lot near where it's being held. And so people can go and find out about the different organizations. And if they aren't already actively involved, it's an opportunity to find out what might be the best fit for you. Here in Malone, we have Show Up as a co-sponsor with North Country New York Indivisibles. So again, I just want to emphasize that people should sign up on the nokings.org. Everyone's welcome to come, even if they don't sign up. However, you're going to get a lot more information and know what's happening if you do register on the website.
Thank you, Martha. And I will be sure to put the No Kings website in the show notes so people will have the link to go to. So, Kathy, tell us about the Canton event, because that is also being sponsored by Indivisible in St. Lawrence County, and the League is another co-sponsor. So tell us a little bit about what that's going to be happening.
Yeah, it's going to be at Midtown Plaza in the middle of Canton. The parking lot is where people are going to gather, and there will be tables there with information, from the organizing groups, which are St. Lawrence County Indivisible and the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County. So there'll be tables with information. There will be some speakers, which I don't know. Do you want me to go into that now, Donna, or?
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, at the Canton rally, there will be 3 speakers. One will be Clarkson University professor Prashant Atavale, who will be speaking, as well as a Clarkson student, Ethan Flamand, who will be reading a statement from a legal immigrant here on a visa, but who is too frightened to speak for themselves. Also, the Reverend James Galasinski of the Canton UU Church will be planning to speak. And there will be various musicians at the event, and there will also be collecting donations of non-perishable food and household items to give to the local neighborhood centers and food banks. And I just found out this morning that actually an hour before the protest at 10 a.m., there's going at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Canton, there's going to be a learn protest songs and practice singing session conducted by Carol Strom, an opportunity for people to, get warmed up for the protest before going over to the Minor Street site. So, so it's going to be quite a lot of activities, time for people to get to know each other and learn more about the organizations involved and how they can get active.
And you mentioned the protest songs. That's really a throwback to the 1960s and the civil rights movement that was so instrumental in opening up our society and getting rid of the Jim Crow laws, or at least what we thought was getting rid of Jim Crow laws. They've come back, unfortunately, now with a little different face, but underneath they're exactly the same. So there are some other rallies taking place in the North Country. Martha mentioned Watertown, which has been very active. There'll be a rally from 1 to 3 p.m. in Public Square. Saranac Lake will have a rally starting at 1:30 p.m. and Ogdensburg, which is new this year, will have an 11 a.m. rally. And again, go to the website and check out the details for each one of those, because it will have the locations and anything else that they're doing, for example, like collecting food and other types of items. That's been something that a lot of these protests have done, which has really been trying to increase the capacity of local organizations. And so Martha, what's the protocol for the rallies? Let's talk about expected behavior and conduct to keep everyone safe and yet still be able to make their free speech points, because it's kind of a balancing game a little bit sometimes about how you protest in a way that is peaceful and yet still gets your point across, isn't it?
Yeah, so all of the No Kings events are going to be peaceful. That's a bottom line. If you sign up, you're pledging to do that. Also, all the events will have safety plans. So, and it depends on the type of event, exactly how the organizers will provide that safety. In Malone, we're just a honk and wave. So we don't need a whole lot of people to help us monitor, but we do need to make sure people don't step off the curb, sort of thing. In Canton, where it'll be a much larger rally, of course, they'll have a much more extensive safety plan. While every event has a plan, keeping each other safe is everyone's responsibility. We live in the North Country, so most of us carry some kind of winter survival kit in the back seat of our cars because you never know when something unexpected will happen. So every participant that attends an event should plan to do some preparation. The No Kings are offering a couple of trainings for just everyone to take. They're going to be on your protest rights and safety practices. ACLU is offering it, and again, that's on the No Kings side. Some suggestions that I would give is know what to expect the day of the event. So go and sign up so that the organizers can tell you. If they're just having a rally, then you know, and they're not marching someplace, then you know if people are trying to march, those are not part of the event organizers. They could be outside agitators for all we know. So that's the first thing to do. I suggest that people wear clothes and shoes that allow them to move freely. All of our events have been peaceful. The local police departments has been very good in helping us keep everyone safe. But again, you need to be prepared if something unexpected happens. So another thing I suggest is that, and I have seen already at a couple of demonstrations, one of the people attending will get upset at what's going on. Apparently a popular thing, and I've experienced it, is for people who don't like our events to drive down the street with their trucks smoking black smoke. Now that's illegal and it tends to get people upset, but really just we should stay calm and not take any action. So I also suggest people should go to those trainings and they'll talk a little bit about how do you stay calm, how do you de-escalate a situation if something starts to happen. And it's not just for yourself, the people around you. We're responsible for everybody. The last thing I would say is if your event is near a street, we want people to see our message. We want them to honk in agreement, but we don't really want distracted drivers. So I've seen people step off the sidewalk at honk and waves and try to hold their sign in front of cars. That's dangerous for everybody. So let's think we're trying to get our message across. We're not trying to cause any conflict.
That's a good point. And the fact that these are public rallies where everyone knows ahead of time where it's going to be and the time it's going to be held means that people will be expecting to see your signs. You don't have to get into the street to have them see you out there with whatever it is that, your sign you're holding or whatever. That is really important. The safety aspect cannot be overemphasized because if you are near a street, things can happen. And so always being aware of what's going on. And you're quite right when you say that the local police departments, and every one of these communities has a local police department. So those folks are going to be out in force and ensuring that everyone stays safe. So that's really an important point to make, that don't let an incautious bit of behavior on your part, like stepping into a street, create a problem. Just be safe, because that is the best way to get our message across, is to do it that way. Well, I'll also put the links for the safety trainings in the video so that people will have a chance ahead of time to go and view those links and make sure that they know what to do. Sadly, we know that we'll end up with another No Kings rally. This one won't stop the anti-democratic behavior of the administration, nor is it likely to get the attention of Congress. And Congress has been missing in action for over a year now. They have had the power to do something about a lot of these abuses, and they have just completely fallen down on that job. They are not taking care of their constituents, who are us, we the people. So we can expect these protests to continue. We can expect people to continue to be outraged, because that's really what we are. We are outraged by the behavior of our government, because it is so not how you conduct national business. So, Martha, where do we go from here? How do
Okay.
we keep this spirit alive and make sure that we are uh, paying attention?
So you make a really good point about Congress. If Congress had stepped up a year ago, we would not be where we are now. We have to face the fact that in terms of an authoritarian government becoming more solidified in the country, we're a lot farther down the road than were a year ago. So resistance and protests are going to have to go on for a very long time. Um, for people, most of us, I think, already have a group that we're working with. And so working with them in a persistent manner for as long as it's needed is what we need to do. If people don't have a group that they're already with, Mobilize, and I think you'll be putting that link, has all kinds of events and petitions and volunteer opportunities. The other thing that people can do is you can't do everything. Then we just burn out. And there were a number of us, I think, around the end of last year that took a longer Christmas vacation, perhaps in some years we would. So pick what's important to you and work on that. And you can help other people, but you don't spread yourself too thin. This is going to take a long time. But around the world, and particularly in the United States, we've shown that while it may take a while, eventually the right wins. The right moral position does win out. I still think King was right about which way it bends.
I think you're right there too. So, Kathy, organizations like the League and Indivisible can really be powerful advocates, and they're easy to join, aren't they?
Yes, yes. The League of Women Voters, you can join on, well, you can go to the League of Women Voters St. Lawrence County Facebook page and find the link to join. You can also go to the state league's website, and they have join a league. You can find a local league close to you. Also the National League's website. Yes, it's easy to join. I mean, the internet has helped us find each other in this struggle.
That's very true. And by sharing your ideas and your outrage and your organizing techniques, it just strengthens everybody else in this movement, because although we all live in slightly different communities and we all have a little different way of organizing, collectively, this is a very, very powerful movement, isn't it?
The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't
That's
lie,
true.
you know.
So as we get ready to close out here, Martha, Kathy, any final thoughts to share with our audience?
Sure, I have a couple thoughts. I would like to urge our listeners to communicate with their elected representatives, local, state, and federal. Let them hear from you. Let them know you care about liberty and justice for all, and tell them you expect them to protect voting rights, the rule of law, and in short, that you expect them to uphold the Constitution. No kings in the USA.
Martha?
Yes. So whether you agree or disagree with our No Kings message, here in rural northern New York, we are all neighbors first. How many of us have gone to a spaghetti dinner fundraiser for someone in our community? And I don't think, well, hopefully we don't demand some political test for that. So if you share a deep concern for the future of our country and our communities, then turn your frustration into constructive local actions. That may mean stepping up to join a local service club. It may mean volunteering with a community group. Just being sure to turn out to vote is an important thing to do. You can make your voice heard at town and village meetings. Our communities need everyone's energy. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so let's work together peacefully and passionately to keep it alive.
You know, you make a great point there about coming out to public meetings. We certainly saw that at the beginning of February here in St. Lawrence County, when hundreds of people came out to speak to the legislators who did not want to see ICE training St. Lawrence County deputies. And I know the same problem has been going on in Plattsburg and other communities all across this state and the country. People are protesting setting up ICE detention centers. And those kinds of actions in home communities are so important because it sends the message that we are not going to just blindly follow whatever comes down from on high. So thank you both so much for your work and for your words, because this is our moment. This is our test as citizens of this country, and we cannot fail. So that's our call to action, and let's get out there and do whatever is needed to make this country back what we grew up and thought it was, because right now it looks very different than what it was when the three of us were growing up, doesn't it?
Very true.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you both again, and good luck and keep up the good work. These conversations are a production of North Country Matters. This show is a civic collaboration between the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters and the Potsdam Public Library. Until next time, remember, our North Country matters, and so does our democracy.